Hey everyone, it's Charlene. Thanks so much for joining me here on the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Today we're going to make a gorgeous card using some new products from Spellbinders. I'm starting out here with the Christmas Bird Poinsettia. This is a gorgeous die set, and you can see I've cut everything out from several different colors. I'm going to make my beautiful bird here shades of blue. So I'm going to start layering everything up. You can see I'm taking the base layer of the bird, which I did in a slightly darker blue, and now I'm putting on the body layer. I'm adding on the little feet here. All I'm doing is adding a bit of glue at the top of those legs. I don't want to add too much glue, but I want to have enough that they will stick there on the bird. And now I'm going to add the little beak, which I've cut out from a tiny piece of orange cardstock. And you can see I am using my jewel picker to make it easier to apply that die cut. Next, I'm adding on the wing, which I've used that same slightly darker shade of blue. And you can see that contrast of the dark, light, dark looks really nice on the bird. I have a small scrap of red cardstock that I'm gluing behind the bird on the two little chest dots that peek through. I thought that added a nice bright pop of color on there. And now I'm adding a scrap of white cardstock behind just so I can go ahead and add the eye of the bird on there. Once I get done with the bird, I can go ahead and put together the sweet Santa hat that is included for the bird. And you can see the bird looks really nice by itself, so you could go without the Santa hat, or if you want to make the bird a little bit more festive, you can add the hat on there. So I've started out with the base piece in red, and then I'm adding the little accents, the pom-pom at the end of the hat, as well as the fur lining in the front there in white. To add some dimension to the front of my card, I've actually decided to go ahead and curl the leaves of my poinsettia. I've cut this out in two shades of red cardstock, so I'm going to layer those up and slightly offset them. And then for the berries, I've cut them out in some gold cardstock, which is going to add some really nice shine to the front of the card. There's two layers to the berries. There's the base layer as well as the top accent layer. Now for the candy canes, I have cut these out twice, once in white cardstock and once in red cardstock. The die itself contains the full candy cane and then the small little pieces that you add on, which I'm doing here. And again, this is where a jewel picker comes in very handy. It makes it so easy to add on the tiny little pieces. The dies are slightly embossed, so it makes it really easy to see where you need to add those pieces. And now I'm actually going to do a reverse of that same die cut. So you can see I flipped the red candy cane over upside down, and I'm going to flip all of the small little white pieces and glue those upside down as well. This is going to make it so that I can have a mirror die cut of the candy cane. Now, as you know, with most die cutting machines, when you cut out your cardstock, you get a slightly rounded edge. So on this mirror image candy cane, the raised edges are going the wrong way. Hopefully that makes sense. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder and run it over the top of those to flatten those out. For my sentiment, I'm going to be using the Christmas Die Glimmer Sentiments. This is a beautiful set. I really like this set because part of it is hot foiled and part of it is die cut. So you're going to see that here in just a moment. I'm taking the small sub-sentiments, which is the hot foiled area, and you can see I am kind of taping those over the top of some gold hot foil. I'm going to go ahead and heat that up on my glimmer, and then when the timer is done, I can run it through with the top plate and the shim through my Spellbinders Platinum 6, which the glimmer works with. Now you only want to run this through one time. That's going to minimize any kind of overfoiling or skipping. And you can see there I have those nice little sub-sentiments now are gold foiled. You do want to leave enough space in between each of those sub-sentiments that you can use the corresponding dies to cut those out. So hopefully visually now it makes a little bit more sense what's going on with this set. I'm cutting out these 4. I did not do all of the sentiments, I just did 4 of them. And you can see now there is a spot there for the larger script word. That'll be die cut in cardstock using the corresponding dies. So I've cut them all out in black cardstock, and I've added a little bit of glue to the back of those. I did go ahead and tap off the die cut on some tissue just so that way I don't have to worry about any glue kind of seeping out from those sentiments. So there you can see all 4 of the finished ones that I put together. I really like how these look. Off camera, I did go ahead and arrange everything, and now I'm just using a piece of press and seal to pick everything up so that way when I glue it down to my card front, it will go back pretty much just the way that I arranged it. So you want to just make sure that you're pressing down enough on the press and seal that it all sticks on there. But now I'm going to go ahead and finish off the background on my card base before I start gluing all of those pieces. For that, I'm using the Dazzling Dots embossing folder. So I have an A2 size piece of white cardstock here that I'm going to go ahead and emboss. And it creates this really beautiful diamond style dot pattern on the front there. I did trim it down, and I am going to add a black matting layer. And then I will go ahead and adhere that whole thing to the front of my card base. I like to go ahead and tape down the finished card base. This way I know it's not going to be moving around as I am flipping my press and seal back and forth. So what I do is I put the press and seal back over the top of the card base, make sure I like where it is, and then I push down on the excess press and seal so that it adheres really well to my work surface. Now I can go through layer by layer and add all of the die cuts by putting some glue on the back. And then I just come back in with a pokey tool here and I kind of work those pieces off of the press and seal and make sure they are nice and adhered. So this takes a little bit of time. It's better to just do a few pieces at a time. That way it is easier to control as you are peeling those things off of the press and seal. And if you wanted to add even more dimension, you could add some double-sided adhesive foam squares to pop those items up. Because I had so much foliage going on here and so many different pieces, I did not need to add any extra dimension on those pieces with foam squares. Lastly, I went ahead and peeled off the sentiment and the bird so that I could independently place those. I did add some small adhesive foam squares to the back of the sentiment just so that it could be popped up a little bit. And then I went ahead and used some liquid glue to glue down the bird as well as to glue down the center poinsettia. So that finishes off my card. I hope you guys picked up some tips and tricks today. Thank you so much for joining me here on the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe as well as hit that notification bell so that way you'll be notified about future videos. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.